The Chicago Bears have officially kicked off their roster trimming process, and the front office wasted no time making tough decisions. As part of the NFL's mandatory roster reductions, the Bears have released 7 players in their first wave of cuts, signaling the beginning of some significant changes ahead. General Manager Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson are under pressure to finalize the 53-man roster by Tuesday's 3 p.m. Central deadline. This first round gives us a clear picture of the organization's thought process, who they trust moving forward, and who fell short during training camp and the preseason. Among the 7 players released, the most notable name is Samori Toure, a wide receiver who had previously been with the Green Bay Packers before joining Chicago's practice squad last season. Despite showing flashes of potential, Toure struggled to make an impact during preseason action, often buried deep on the depth chart and playing late into games while other key receivers were already resting. The Bears also parted ways with Royce Freeman, the veteran running back who managed to score a preseason touchdown but failed to secure a long-term role in an already crowded backfield. While Freeman showed moments of promise, Chicago appears committed to exploring younger talent and building a more dynamic rotation behind DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson. In addition, offensive lineman Chris Glaser was let go. Although he demonstrated some versatility by playing both guard and center, Glazer's struggles in earlier preseason games overshadowed his improvements later in camp. Still, his ability to handle multiple roles could make him a potential practice squad candidate. Defensively, the Bears cut 4 defensive backs who were signed just weeks ago to provide depth while the team dealt with injuries: Caleb Hayes, Garner, Mark Perry, and Millard Bradford. These were considered camp bodies, and while they contributed in practice, none were able to secure a lasting role. Among them, Bradford stands out as someone who might return to the practice squad thanks to his special teams experience. This first wave of cuts provides valuable insight into how the coaching staff views its current roster. Chicago seems focused on youth development, positional flexibility, and finding the right mix of impact players and reliable depth options moving forward. Who's next? The battle for the final roster spots. While the initial cuts grabbed attention, the real drama is just beginning. With the deadline approaching, several bubble players are fighting for their NFL futures, and Chicago fans are keeping a close eye on these critical position battles. Wide receiver competition heats up after Toure's release. The Bears' wide receiver room remains highly competitive. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Tyler Scott are locks, but beyond them, the situation is less certain. Players like J.J. Walker, Maurice Alexander, and Jonty Walker are still battling for depth spots and potential special teams roles. For example, J.P. Richardson, who started training camp strong and even made an impressive one-handed catch early on, has cooled off in recent weeks. While his chances of making the 53-man roster seem slim, his ability as a potential kick returner makes him an interesting practice squad candidate. Running back depth remains unsettled at running back. DeAndre Swift leads the way, but questions remain about Roshan Johnson's health after his recent foot and possible concussion concerns. Behind them, Travis Homer, Britton Brown, and Ian Wheeler are competing for the remaining spots. Brown, in particular, has drawn praise from team executives and could sneak onto the final roster if injuries continue to linger. However, the Bears may also opt to keep just 3 running backs active and stash an extra option on the practice squad for flexibility. Offensive line battles. One of the most intriguing competitions is unfolding along the offensive line. With injuries to players like Doug Kramer, depth has become a major concern. Names like Ricky Stromberg, Josh Miles, and Karen Mekhi are fighting to prove they belong. Miles, unfortunately, struggled heavily during preseason snaps and is widely expected to be released. Conversely, Mekhi has quietly impressed coaches and could earn a late roster spot if he continues to show consistency in practices. Defensive front decisions. On the defensive side, the Bears are dealing with significant decisions at both the defensive tackle and defensive end positions. Chris Williams has flashed as an interior pass rusher and seems to have secured a role, but Zach Pickens, a former third-round pick, could be in danger of being cut if he fails to show more in the coming days. At defensive end, the competition is fierce. Daniel Hardy earned praise for his game-changing strip sack in the preseason, while Tashawn Paschal brings size and scheme versatility. Austin Booker is a lock to make the roster, though his recent injury could complicate short-term plans and open the door for Hardy or Pascal to stick around. Chicago Bears Nation, we're bringing you daily breaking news, roster updates, and insider analysis. So if you love the Bears, make sure you subscribe right now. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a single update about your team's biggest moves. Every subscriber helps us grow and keeps you fully informed on all things Bears football. Secondary shifts, special teams questions, and final outlook beyond the offense and defensive front. Some of the most critical decisions lie in the secondary and special teams units. Secondary battles intensify. The Bears' starting cornerbacks, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gardner, and Tariq Stevenson, are locked in, but depth remains a concern. With Terrell Smith battling injuries and Nahshon Wright struggling in preseason action, Trey Flowers suddenly has an outside chance to earn a roster spot despite being considered a long shot early in camp. At safety, the picture is much clearer. Veterans Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker lead the way, backed by Jonathan Owens and Elijah Hicks. While Alex Cook and Taysheem Johnson flash during camp, they're more likely to land on the practice squad unless unexpected injuries shake things up. Linebacker depth and special team strategy. At linebacker, Chicago is set with T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and Noah Sewell leading the unit. However, depth players like Suez Boseman, Powers Eccles, and Carl Jones are fighting to prove their value on special teams to avoid being among the next cuts. Speaking of special teams, the Bears also face an interesting decision at long snapper. Scott Daly has the inside track, but Luke Ilkin, who worked closely with rookie punter Tory Taylor at Iowa, has impressed during practices. While Daly remains the favorite, Ilkin's chemistry with Taylor could influence the final call. Final thoughts. A defining week for the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are entering one of the most pivotal weeks of the offseason. Every decision made between now and the final cut deadline will shape the identity of the 2025 roster. For players on the bubble, every practice rep, every film session, and every preseason snap matters more than ever. This first wave of cuts is just the beginning. Some fan favorites will be released, unexpected names could emerge, and potential trades or waiver pickups might completely alter the landscape of the roster. Chicago is clearly focused on building a faster, more versatile team around its core stars while stacking young talent across the depth chart. For Bears fans, this is the time to stay locked in. The next few days will tell us everything about how this organization plans to compete in 2025 and beyond. Bear down, Chicago. The journey is just getting started.